Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report, the Raiders' most interactive YouTube and Facebook channel. I'll be honest with you guys, I have a jam-packed show. News, rumors, and some interesting UDFAs that may and may not make the team. Let's get right into it, though, around Antonio Brown. Of course, I got to talk about it. So according to Ian Rappaport this morning, Brown lost his helmet grievance again. Which, sure, I am not shocked at all. But now, this is some of the news that you need to hear. So according to PFT, Brown is close to picking a new helmet, and his decision will include custom-made model and endorsement deal. So today I saw Antonio Brown wearing an older Schutt helmet. So here's the thing. Am I the only person in the entire world that thinks this Antonio Brown helmet drama is kind of just for Hard Knocks? Like, think about it. We don't hear anything all week. Nothing. Zip. Zilch. Nada. And then all of a sudden, Friday, Saturday, Sunday rolls around, and then all of a sudden we have all this Antonio Brown helmet drama. I am starting to think that the only reason why that we're even talking about this is because it does bring up numbers for Hard Knocks. It brings up money. And anytime Antonio Brown can make a little extra money, hey, I don't blame him. But I'm starting to think that the only reason we talk about helmets is for numbers for Hard Knocks. So speaking of Hard Knocks, type me if you're going to watch Hard Knocks Episode 4. I better see a lot of me's in the comment section because I'm going to start giving some shout-outs here to some people on YouTube, and I'll start giving some shout-outs to some of these people on Facebook that are watching me. So, Mark Jackson, Frank, Jeremy, what's going on? AB Plus, Cam's Life, Caleb, Nelson, Danny, Harley, I appreciate everyone who's watching. Let's go over now to Facebook. Let's see, David, Jimmy, Andy, I appreciate everyone who's watching. So if you guys type me, put this in your calendar, okay? Join me Tuesday, August 27th at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to be doing a nice Hard Knocks watch party. So if you want to sit down, chug beers with me, it's always a pretty good time there. I sit there, I interact, I FaceTime with people on my phone. Make sure you guys check it out. Put it in your calendar. It'll be live on YouTube and on Facebook. I hope to see you guys there. Let's get into some more news from today. The Raiders, they cut Doug Martin. So if you have lived under a rock, and if you don't follow me or Chat Sports on Instagram or Twitter or subscribe to us on YouTube, you'll have no idea that the Raiders cut Doug Martin today. So here's the thing. The main reason why the Raiders cut Doug Martin, one reason, because DeAndre Washington flat out outplayed him. And I think we can all agree on that. The second reason, he's got a shoulder injury. They put him on IR, but Doug Martin did still make $90K for attending training camp, but the Raiders did save $1.9 million in getting rid of him. So now this is what the Raiders depth chart looks like. You got Josh Jacobs, DeAndre Washington. If Jacobs goes down, look for Washington. But then you have Jalen Richard, the third down running back. I think that they end up getting rid of Butler and Brown. I'm expecting them to keep Ingold, expect them to cut Keith Smith. So now let's get into some rumors, shall we? Because I'm excited for this. Is DeAndre Washington going to be the Raiders' RB2? Okay, you ready for this one? This one's 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely. Now, the fact that the Raiders moved on from Doug Martin this morning was a little bit of a surprise. But DeAndre Washington flat out earned that spot. He played well. He really, really did. And as soon as I saw the fact that Washington came in behind Josh Jacobs in that second preseason game, do you remember that? It was Josh Jacobs, then Washington, then Jalen Richard, then Doug Martin. He was the fourth running back that came in, sure. The third preseason game is normally the one that you need to look at. The game that you need to take the most notes from is the second preseason game with the Raiders. And DeAndre Washington this preseason, yeah, the yards per carry, not that great. But he looked solid in the first preseason game when he got in that touchdown. 41 rushing yards. But he's also been pretty solid out of the receiving game too. So he's got 3 catches, 456 yards, 18.7 yards per carry, and a long of 35. So, like, DeAndre Washington has been pretty solid. And I think ultimately, like, is going to be a pretty reliable backup to Josh Jacobs. So Josh Jacobs is still going to be the lead dude. And I can't wait to watch Josh Jacobs against the Denver Broncos on Monday Night Football. And I need to get to 25K subscribers, okay? The main reason why I want to get to 25K subscribers, I'm going to be in Oakland for the Monday Night Football game against the Broncos. And I've been told If the Raiders Report can get to 25K subscribers, I'm going to be able to hand out free drinks to anyone who I see at the Raiders Report or at the game. Okay? So we got to get the Raiders Report to 25K. I appreciate everyone who watches on Facebook. Like, I see Colin, I see Andy, I see Alana, Dan Novak, one of my top fans on Facebook. And then on YouTube, we got over 245 people live right now. So Woods, Nevada John, Glenn Adams, Javier, Casey, I appreciate all you guys. So let's get us to 25K by Monday Night Football. All right, Alicia's telling me to move on. Keelan Doss. Is he going to make the 53-man roster? So for those of you that watch the show, normally when I give something for Chucky heads, it's because it's already happened or like 100% going to happen. Here's the thing. Keelan Doss making the 53-man roster. I'm giving this one for Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. Because if it does not happen, I am going to go absolutely AWOL. I am going to go like absolutely insane. Because this dude just flat out deserves to make this team. Now, the fact that Martin was a surprise cut, I think that's one of those things that it's going to open up things for Keelan Doss. And it should open up things for Keelan Doss. He has the most targets, the most receptions, yards after the catch, first downs for the Raiders this preseason. Now, I get it. It's just preseason. I totally get it. But he's been good, guys. Like, you can watch. He made that beautiful toe tap catch last week. 11 catches, 99 yards, a touchdown. The stat that I didn't put up on here, he has 7 first down catches. Keelan Doss has been absolutely sensational, and I am just saying this right now. If Keelan Doss does not make this team, heck, I might hold out. Melvin Gordon's holding out. Zeke's holding out. You know what? I might hold out because if this kid doesn't make the team, I'm going to go crazy. So, what I want you guys to do is type Doss if you want him to make the team. And straight up, if you type Doss, I'm giving you a shout out. And this is what I want you guys to do. I want you guys to find Keelan Doss's Twitter, find his Instagram. I want you to tag Keelan Doss in today's show, and I want you to send it to him. Because straight up, Keelan Doss, if and when you make this team, you are more than welcome at any time to come on the Raiders Report. The first round is on me, and I want to get you on the show because, man, you deserve to be in silver and black more than any other player on that team. Give me some Dosses in the comments section. Brian, Nevada, Glenn, Kyler, let's go over to Facebook now for those of you watching. Joe Ortega, Andy, Joel, I appreciate all y'all watching on YouTube and on Facebook. So here's the thing. We have a lot more people watching on Facebook than ever before. So if you're wondering, Mitch, what the hell are these Chucky heads? 0 Chucky head means tuck rule, tuck that. This is my rumor meter. 1 Chucky head is a small shred of truth. I like to think 25% chance of happening. 2 Chucky heads, people are talking. 3 Chucky heads is pretty likely. 4 Chucky heads is believe it, baby, 100% that rumor is going to happen. All right, next one. Nick Nelson. Is he going to get cut? This one's also going to be 4 Chucky heads, believe it, baby. Now, Nick Nelson's been struggling all preseason. But you also have to consider the fact that our defense is a lot more deep than what it was last year. Last week, Victor Four, who I respect greatly, tweeted out that he expects the Raiders to cut Nick Nelson because it simply doesn't make sense for them to keep him. And then this past week against the Packers, he gave up 2 very, very bad touchdowns. He got burnt twice. Now, that's the 3rd touchdown that this kid's given up in the entire preseason. Now, Nick Nelson was a player that we drafted out of Wisconsin last year in the 4th round, and I thought he had some upside playing in the nickel. But with LaMarcus Joyner's depth, and then you have other players like Keisean Nixon, Isaiah Johnson, some of these other guys who just simply deserve, I think, to, or have higher upside. Nick, I think you're a good kid. I wish you the best of luck in your future. I just think this Raiders team is a little bit too talented to be able to hold somebody right now who's just been struggling as much as you. So will the Raiders cut Nick Nelson? I'm typing my Y for yes. I don't like ever to say yes, their team is going to cut a player because I get it, they live their dream. But at the end of the day, I got to pay for my bills, and I got to give you guys the information that I believe in. So will the Raiders cut Nick Nelson? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Let me know in Facebook and on YouTube. Is Nathan Peterman going to be the backup quarterback for the Raiders? Mitch, he's been playing great. Start him over Derek Carr, right? Let's slow the roll a little bit. I'm going to give this one Chucky head, and I think it's a small shred of truth. So one of the things that I do here on the Raiders Report, I look for either articles, reports, and then I give my spin on them, and then I give my opinion on them. Well, anytime I see Fanside write something, I look at it because a lot of times it's BS. So Fanside have put out their 53-man roster projection, and they have the Raiders cutting quarterback Mike Glennon. Now, sure, the Raiders could keep 3 quarterbacks, but they're saying that they're going to keep Nathan Peterman over Mike Glennon. That's a hard pill to swallow for me. I get it. Nathan Peterman's been fun, and I think Nathan Peterman's been pretty good. And these numbers here in the preseason would show that Peterman's been pretty solid. Here's the thing, though. Yes, Peterman has 70 rushing yards, and yes, he's got 317 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. But Mike Glennon was much better in that Week 2 game. That Week 2 game against the Cardinals is the game that I'm really going to focus on. Plus, also in terms of yards, Glennon has way less attempts and completion. Way less attempts than Peterman. I just think Mike Glennon is the safer backup quarterback. So who's going to be the backup quarterback for the Raiders? Type G for Glennon, type P for Peterman. This is the other thing, okay? When you guys type G for Glennon, type P for Peterman, I'm curious who you guys think. And the reason why I'm ultimately curious is, here's the thing, I hope we don't see any of these guys on the field, right? And the other thing that I'm very, very happy about, the fact that Glennon and Peterman have both looked good, it's because I personally think Derek Carr is about to have a career year. So if you guys have watched Hard Knocks, you'll know that anytime John Gruden wants his guys to listen up and show that he's listened, they tells them to knock on wood. So if you think Derek Carr is going to have a career year, type, I guess that'd be Cow, K-O-W. Because here's the thing. When I watch Nathan Peterman's not really that good. Mike Glennon's really not that good. But I've seen Nathan Peterman grow more this offseason, and I've seen Mike Glennon show really, really good spurts. If John Gruden and this offensive scheme can make Nathan Peterman look as good as what they have, get ready for Derek Carr's second year under John Gruden, because this is the first time in his entire career where he has no different parts. He doesn't have a new OC, he doesn't have a new head coach. Derek Carr, I'm telling you right now, is about to have a career year. Y'all hear me? Knock on wood. Next one, let's get into it. Are the Raiders cutting Luke Willson? I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, and I think this one is pretty likely. Luke Willson in Canada needed to show up. He just didn't show up this past week, and that's just straight up it. Currently on the roster bubble, and I think when you consider the Raiders, they're probably only going to keep 3 tight ends, right? Simply because it doesn't really make sense for them to keep anything more than the 3 tight ends. And when I consider the fact that Luke Willson didn't really play all that well, I ultimately don't really know whether or not you could give me a solid argument on why the Raiders should keep Luke Willson. I get the fact that he has the most experience. And for some of you, they're like, oh, Mitch, he has the highest Madden rating. I don't really care about Madden. I don't play Madden. I look at the field and I see what the Raiders need. These are his numbers. Not too great, right? Obviously. Now, sure, you can do a lot of other different things on the football field, but in terms of just overall production, these are the 3 tight ends that I think that the Raiders are going to end up keeping. You have to keep Darren Waller. You have to keep Foster Moreau. You have to keep Derek Carrier. And the reason why they're going to keep Carrier is simply because for special teams. Now, I think when you consider the fact that Luke Willson wasn't all that good and Paul Butler wasn't all that good, these are the 3 tight ends that the Raiders are trying to keep. So here's the other really cool feature on Facebook, top Facebook friends. So for the people that for the people that comment, the easiest way to become a top Facebook friend is actually by sharing the video on Facebook. So for those of you who are my top Facebook friends, so Bo, Billy, Sean, Larry, Mark, there's a bunch more. I'm going to continue to give shout-outs to my top Facebook friends. And if you want to get a shout-out, again, like videos, comment on videos, share videos, do all that stuff. You spread the show, you become a top Facebook friend. I also want to give a shout-out to some new subscribers on YouTube. I play drunk 24/7. That's a perfect guy to subscribe to the Raiders Report. DL Zale, Navy, Boyville, Booker, Big Mike. I wonder why they call you that. And then Victor Blanco. Shout out to all these new subscribers. The Raiders Report is the most interactive YouTube and Facebook channel simply because the Nation, I love the Nation, and I want to continue to get you guys on the show. All right, next one we're talking about is Tavon Coney. Is he going to get cut? I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads as well, and I think this one is pretty likely. So Coney was a player that I liked a lot coming out of Notre Dame, and I was actually surprised that he was a UDFA. But here's the thing. Coney hasn't really been getting it done, and unfortunately, I think it's time for, Coney to wise up. So the Raiders, they signed defensive tackle Corey Liggett, who's played for the Chargers. Out of the last, I think it's 32 games, he's missed 14 of 32 games the last 2 seasons due to PED suspensions and a torn quad. And then you add Bryson Allen Williams, a linebacker, a rookie from South Carolina. The fact that they went out and added the defensive tackle, that might not impact Coney all that much, but the fact that they feel like they need to add extra defensive players, plus they go out and add an extra linebacker, I think that almost puts Tavon Coney on the outside looking in, especially because he's already on that roster bubble. So I want to ask everyone who's watching the show, will Coney make the team? 1 for yes, 2 for no. It's very, very simple. If those numbers are difficult for you, I really question your ability to live your normal life. So will Coney make the team? 1 for yes, 2 for no. 3 more rumors. I normally only do 6, but today's a jam-packed show. All right, so is SIEG the new long snapper? Trent, this one's for Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. Long snappers are people too. I was going to people were like, why are you putting that on the show, Mitch? Because long snappers are people too. Now, the Raiders, they released Andrew DePaul, which I think is pretty interesting because it's going to save the Raiders a whole bunch of money. So DePaul last year signed a 4-year, $4.27 million deal, which made him the highest paid long snapper in the league. Now, he did make $1.4 million last year, but Trent's only going to make $570K. I say only, but yeah, I mean, come on. Type me if you'd like to make $570K, right? I think this is a good move for the Raiders. I think it's going to be able to save them some money. So now this is what the Raiders special teams depth chart is going to look like. And if for some of these people you're like, who are these people? These are our special teamers. I'm very excited about Carlson. I'm very excited about the Raiders ultimately look like on special teams because it's called special teams for a reason, right? You need to be able to have a solid unit in order to win a lot of football games. Now, the first game the Raiders need to win, come on, it's against the Denver Broncos, the Donkeys. Type Donkeys in the comments section. I love when you guys rip on the Broncos because there's no team I dislike more in the NFL than the Denver Broncos. So before I ever started doing the Raiders report, there was one player that I disliked. It was Joe Flacco. And now the fact that he's in Mile High, man, this makes me hate the Broncos that much more. So, guys, we got to get to 25K subscribers by Monday Night Football against the Denver Broncos. I've been told I can do some awesome giveaways. Maybe a player is going to hand me some signed stuff, and I'm going to give it away once we get to 25K. Maybe. You got to subscribe, though, youtube.com/Raiders Report. All right, two more. Isaiah Johnson, he going to be out Week 1. This one's 2 Chucky heads, and people are talking. So this is a pretty interesting little injury here. According to John Gruden, he's dealing with a facial injury. Facial LaFleur, if you know that movie reference, good for you. He could miss Week 1 versus the Broncos, and overall, he was the 4th-round pick in 2019. Isaiah Johnson, he's a good solid corner, but the fact that he could be out Week 1, this one's just, 2 Chucky heads, so people are talking. All right, last thing on today's rumor skit. Raiders schedule gets easier. Yeah, this one's for Chucky heads. Believe it, baby. For those of you that don't already subscribe to Chat Sports, our main channel, you might not know that Andrew Luck retired. What does this mean for me? As soon as I heard this news, I was like, hell yeah, the Raiders are getting an extra win, right? Because now you play the Colts Week 4. Jacoby Brissett, breaking news, is not Andrew Luck. I am betting on the Oakland Raiders to win this game, okay? Betting on the Raiders to win this game, and I think the fact that the Raiders ultimately get now an easier schedule, thank God, because this is going to be a win for them, and I'm hoping we can start out the season 2-1. 3-0 would definitely be a little bit more ideal. But ultimately, as soon as I saw Andrew Luck is retiring, I was like, hell yeah, that's an extra win for the Oakland Raiders. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this, I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.